Okay, I was just scrolling through YouTube and stuff, and I decided to check something out. And what I checked out was a recent article that Crystal Maiden 77 had done on DeviantArt. And that was basically listing and scoring the per dash Ian Flynn slash pure dash 160 moments of Sally being useful. And it was a good article. You should check it out. It's on DeviantArt. It's under the name Crystal Maiden 77. You can even Google it. But as I was scrolling through it, I should say, I also looked up some of the other stuff that she did. And one of the first things she did back in December of, I think was it 2018, yeah, almost, well, not even a year yet, but basically 9 months ago, she did an article slash essay slash editorial on asking how Sally Acorn was a Mary Sue. And there's no doubt that depending on how someone is written, even if they're a main character, depending on the writer of the story, especially if it's a comic book story, sometimes a character can feel a little OC, can feel a little Gary Stewish, or in this case, a little Mary Sue-ish. And Sally, I will admit it, being a fan of Sally herself, she's no exception. But there's one thing that I noticed when I was reading this editorial slash essay by basically Crystal Maiden 77. Sorry, I had to think there for a second. It's about it's about 8:17 in the morning, and I'm doing this unscripted on the fly. But anyway, like I said, one of the things that I noticed she didn't mention was, despite some of the things that she brought up that showed that Sally was not a Mary Sue, like some people initially thought she always was, but instead kind of was at times, depending, like I said, on the writer, a creator's pet, or was shown favoritism, like I said, depending on the writer. There was one moment that showed that she was not a Mary Sue. In fact, two moments. And they both deal with her being roboticized. Yeah. So in case you guys don't know, when Ken Penders and several other people were kind of, switching out being the head writer or the co-head writer and stuff like that for the Sonic the Hedgehog comic book, when it was under the Archie household, Archie Comics household, in issue 29, which was basically well after the Sally 3-part miniseries comic, Sally came up with the idea to have herself roboticized because, long story short, issue 29 also introduced the in-comic debut of Dulcie the Dragon, who was introduced to us in Season 2 of Sonic Sat AM. Anyway, Dulcie and Sonic discover what seems to be a portable de-roboticizer inside a hovercraft, one of Robotnik's hovercrafts, if you will. So they take it back to Knothole, and long story short, they decide this could come in handy, and then that's how Sally comes up with the idea, thanks to Bunny's suggestion, unexpectedly, because all Bunny suggested was, hey, maybe we should have Robotnik roboticize one of us and infiltrate, his base and see what we can learn. And Sally decided that's a good idea, but she was going to be the one that allowed herself to be roboticized so that she could get the information. So, long story short, she comes up with this idea. Rotor comes up with a device that allows her to keep her free will after roboticization, because when she's roboticized, this device will be kind of blended into her robotic body and become one with her and become a part of her, thus she's able to keep her free will. Unfortunately, that device fell off during her acting job and allowing herself to be captured by the SWAT bots, and it basically became unuseful in her keeping her free will, and she just became completely roboticized for a majority of the main story of that issue. Thankfully, thanks to Deus Ex Machina routines at that time, and of course Dulcie making her in-comic debut, Dulcie showed up in time to see what was happening and used the de-roboticizer to restore Sally, and thus allow Sally to free the others who got captured because of her, because she was roboticized but didn't have a free will. And at the end, she admitted that, look, she's sorry that she didn't get the job done the way she would hope for, and there you go. The other example, of course, is the most infamous and controversial one, the one that I and many others were not particularly fans of, and that was when she became Mecha Sally by allowing herself to be roboticized by the global roboticizer. Basically sacrificing herself to save the planet, which I will admit was probably a great character developing, coming full circle moment for her, but still a lot of us feel it could have gone a different way. They could have came up with other ways for her to avoid that. They could have had her order Nicole to kind of fire or have the roboticizer cannon fire straight into the sky by going sideways, and thus, boom, that's it. Nobody gets hurt. It just fires into the sky and into nothingness. But, like I said, it could have fired into the sky into nothingness, but instead, she allowed herself to be roboticized and not knowing exactly what she would end up doing until we got to basically the soft reboot and retcon, where through what I predicted, and I even said this when I talked about it, Nicole would end up being the key to the restoration of the memories of the characters of, Sally and Bunny and Amy and Rotor and all them. She would be the key to the restoration of the memories. It wasn't until Sally got her memories back of the past life that she had that she realized what she had done. And she, even in tears, apologized and thanked them for saving her. Because right in that moment, she realized that she had made a terrible mistake in allowing herself to be roboticized to save the planet. Yes, people will say, well, now some might say it wasn't a terrible mistake because she sacrificed her freedom. She was giving back, not just to Sonic, but not just to Sonic himself, but to the planet for the many times that she was kept alive. She was given second chances at life and redemption, and that this was the ultimate way of doing it. And again, I don't disagree with that, but that moment in, what was it, 253, 54, 55, 56, I believe. I think it was 56. That, like I said, around 56, when she has that moment, emotional moment, where she's crying and she's in tears about what she had done. And even though, like I said, she apologized and thanked him for thanking her. And again, even though the moment she had at the end of 230 was a great redemption moment to kind of give back, a good character development full circle moment, still the emotional reaction she had at the end kind of even even though predictable, kind of negated that because Sally herself, keeping in continuity, if you will, realized that she made a mistake, that basically she didn't realize the consequences of her actions or what she would end up becoming because of that. So if you want so if you come out and say Sally's a Mary Sue, again, I'm not saying that there weren't moments where she probably felt like that or she felt like a creator's pet. It all depends on the writer of the comic. And if you don't believe me about the difference between writers, let me refer you to a guy called Linkara. Yeah, check his videos out. You'll get a good idea of what I mean. But anyway, like I was saying, and there are many examples where she could be looked at like that. There are many examples where she could be looked at as, being a creator's pet, being a Mary Sue. But there's more moments that outnumber those where she's looked at as something more than that, as something that's not a Mary Sue, that's not a creator's pet, that can make mistakes, can make decisions that even though they might be right at the time, in the end, the regret comes with it. So, was Sally treated as a Mary Sue and a creator's pet at times? Again, it depends on the writer. It depends on the writer. And again, you don't believe me on that? Check out Linkara's YouTube channel and the various videos he's done on it, and you'll see what I mean. But I just thought I'd do this as a quick response, maybe not so much a quick response, to Crystal Maiden 77 and the first thing she did on DeviantArt talking about this, because Sally's not a Mary Sue. Not totally. I'll put it this way. Sally Acorn is not a Mary Sue or a creator's pet. However, when she was at times in the eyes of people, it was due to whoever was writing the comic at that time. And that's pretty much it. So let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like, and I'm out.